I wasn't planning on making a movie or being a director, but I loved this book, Virgin Suicides, when I read it, and then I heard some people were making a movie out of it and how they were doing it, and I thought, I hope they don't do this, I hope they do this, and I just felt so protective of it that I kept thinking about how I would make it as a movie, and so I started working on a screenplay just as an exercise to see, like, how do you adapt a book, and then I got more and more into it, and eventually somehow convinced the producers to look at my script, and I got to make the film. But it was really out of feeling protective for the book, and I feel like that book made me want to be a director. It was just a beautiful book. It was the first novel by a contemporary author that I really felt was a classic.
She fell in love with this book and in fact asked me if I would help to buy the rights of the book so she could write the screenplay, and I was unable to. It was an important book, a very well-reviewed book, and it was owned by important studios, and she on her own sat down and wrote the screenplay, and I said to her, Sophia, don't break your heart, don't write a script because you're not going to be able to do anything with it because you don't own the book. And when in fact she finished the script, and I got a pile of scripts all the time, and I read it, and I said, gee, I have to say, this is one of the best scripts I've read in 10 years. And oddly enough, she took that script, and we found the people who owned the book, and they read it, and they agreed.
It's just great to have my dad as a mentor and producer, and because it's someone that whose opinion I respect.
You know, a project, like anything, has its own life. And if you deny that life, then you're going to have something that's not alive.
Yeah.
And the whole object of art is to find life.
Hello, it's me. I've thought about us for a long, long time.
Call 727-0487.
The story is really a reflection of these boys when they're older, looking back on this time when they had this infatuation and this obsession with these kind of ideal girls, and these girls were kind of these magical, beautiful creatures, and there's always those kind of moments in life that are kind of magical and perfect, but they never last, and then you go on, but they've always left something with you.
What we have here is a dreamer, someone completely out of touch with reality.
I'm gonna ask you out.
Bad chance.
Lux, please put your shit on this instant.
Are you an aviation enthusiast?
I don't know if I'd call myself an enthusiast, but
Do you like to wrestle?
Look, she's laughing. He made her laugh.
My intentions for your daughter are entirely honorable.
What might those intentions be?
so much has been said about the girls over the years,
Those girls have a bright future ahead of them.
but we have never found an answer.
Her act was a cry for help.
I heard it was an accident.
Even then, as teenagers, we tried to put the pieces together. We still can't.
We got a full tank of gas. We'll take you anywhere you want to go.
About time. We've been waiting for you guys.
You're not even old enough to know how bad life gets.
Obviously, Doctor. You've never been a 13-year-old girl.
Four sisters put their own lives in jeopardy.
They'll all be gone by next year.
We would never be sure about the sequence of events. We argue about it still.
I was really surprised that so many people connected with it, because when I was writing it, I was really worried that it was just this really indulgent, personal story. It was the most personal thing I'd done, and I was really surprised that when people come up and tell me that they, are into it, I appreciate it, but I was surprised, and that was really coming from, I spent a lot of time in Tokyo and wanted to do something about my experiences there, and that was the starting point on that.
What's this film about?
What is it about? It's about these two people lost in their lives, and it's exaggerated by being in Japan, where it's already confusing and there are no names on the streets, and finding a brief connection. To me, it's just about those moments in life that are fleeting, but the impression stays with you.
It is said that that's what you like to make movies about, small moments, encounters that may change your life.
I like the small details that seem epic at the time, but, it can just be a very subtle thing. I like those moments.
I mean, you wrote this. When did you know that this is what I want to make a movie about? This idea of a brief encounter that has consequences.
I set out to make a kind of an intimate story between these two characters in Tokyo, and I wanted.
You started with characters, or did it start with?
I started with Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Yeah, it started with the idea of Tokyo. I wanted to shoot there, and also just my friend there was singing "God Save the Queen" and karaoke in Tokyo, and just the kind of combination of different cultures and Americans being there. And then within that, I wanted to do an intimate story between these two characters, and something romantic that is about a brief moment that you can meet someone and spend 2 days with them, and that can be just as important as someone you've known for years.
For relaxing times, make it Suntory time.
カットカットカットカット！時間がないんだよ。ね、パッションがカメラテンション上げて。
With intensity.
Is that everything? I mean, it seemed like he said more than that.
Mr. Bob Hollis! よう来たな、ボブ。
You are a movie star.
Yes, I should be doing movies.
Yeah. You know Rat Pack?
Rat Pack?
Rat Pack.
A ring-a-ding-ding.
Mr. Harris, Mr. Kazo sent me my stockings. Lip them.
What?
Hey, lip my stockings.
Lip them? What? What are you doing?
My husband's a photographer, so he's here working. I wasn't doing anything, so I came along.
What do you do?
I'm not sure yet, actually. What are you doing here?
Getting paid $2 million to endorse a whiskey. The good news is the whiskey works. Can you keep a secret? I'm trying to organize a prison break. We'd have to first get out of this bar, then the city, and then the country. Are you in or are you out?
I'm in.
How are you? I'm Bob.
You're probably just having a midlife crisis. Did you buy a Porsche yet?
You know, I was thinking about buying a Porsche.
I just don't know what I'm supposed to be.
You'll figure that out. The more you know who you are and what you want, the less you let things upset you.
You really are having a midlife crisis, huh?
I haven't watched it for a while. I'll see like a little clip on TV or something, and it just reminds me of that time. But I appreciate I think the setting and the costumes were beautiful, and I have fondness for it. Yeah, but I think I haven't really watched it all the way through. Maybe a little more time has passed, but I have a fondness for it. It was really mixed, but I think some journalists tried to make it more of a scandal than it really was. So it got a lot of people really loved it, and some people hated it, and I think that's the best thing. If I'd rather have that than something that just sort of mediocre. So I think it's good to have reactions, and I knew that kid from California, girl from California coming in and making a movie about Marine Twin, it's going to be, it's kind of obnoxious. So I'm aware of that.
Friendship between Austria and France must be cemented by marriage. My youngest daughter, Antoine, will be Queen of France.
It is a custom that the bride retain nothing belonging to a foreign court.
You represent the future. All eyes will be on you.
She looks like a child. So, I've heard you make keys as a hobby?
Yes. It'll be interesting to see how long she lasts.
What on earth is going on with that young couple?
It's a disaster.
This is ridiculous.
This, madame, is Versailles.
I'm afraid the Queen has a somewhat artistic temperament.
It's not too much, is it?
No.
She spends like mad.
People of France are hungry.
The King and Queen are complete blunderers.
Don't they ever get tired of these ridiculous stories? Can't you do something?
I'm not going to acknowledge it. She was in the shrubs at dawn with various men.
He has quite a reputation.
She's a terrible queen.
Letting everyone down would be my greatest unhappiness.
The Bastille fortress was stormed.
There's a mob of hundreds on their way.
After Marie Antoinette, I was living in France, and I kind of took a little break. I had my first child and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I met Harris Savides, the cinematographer, doing a commercial, and we were talking about filmmaking and how simply you could do a movie. I think after Marie Antoinette was so involved in such a huge production that I wanted to go back to doing something more simple along the lines of Lost in Translation with just a few characters, and so I was thinking about, how to do something more simple, and it was about things I was thinking about after having a kid and about being a parent, and then also kind of the brewing and the culture of this, about being famous and celebrity culture was kind of, I was thinking about that as I was seeing that kind of grow in the culture. I thought there were a lot of stories in the news too about successful actors having these personal crises, and I was like, just with our culture today, with all the kind of so many people obsessed with becoming famous and reality shows and stuff, I thought, I'm curious what happens, the next morning when you wake up and that's really your reality, and what that's like.
Hi, Dad.
Hey, Cleo.
Can decisions shape your life? You'll be aware of 5 about 7 ways to go through school.
I need you to take Cleo.
You noticed all
When are you coming back?
I don't know.
7 ways to get ahead. 7 reasons to drop out. When I said I can see me in your eyes, you said I can see you in my pants. That's not just friendship, that's romance too. You like music we can dance to. Sit me down, shut me up, I'll calm down, and I'll get along with you.
Sophia, I just wondered what cinematic potential you immediately saw in Nancy Jo Sales' Vanity Fair article, and to what extent you might have immediately seen a story that had sort of a universal kind of quality to it, in encapsulating today's youth.
Yeah, when I read the article, I just thought it had so many great elements for a movie that I would want to see. That it has, it has a fun popcorn aspect, but then it also is disturbing, and it's saying so much, about contemporary culture and how it's affecting young people. So I thought there were a lot of elements that I was fascinated with and thought it could be a movie.
I remember it was on the news, and I did. Yeah, it seemed like a crazy story, but I didn't pay that much attention. And then I was on the plane looking at a Vanity Fair, and I read the article that Nancy Jo Sales wrote. And when I read the article and the quotes of the real kids, I got really interested in it. I thought somebody has to be making a movie of this. Mm-hmm. And I never thought that I would, but I looked into the rights, and the rights were available, and I met Nancy Jo Sales, and she had all these interesting stories, and I just kept thinking about it, and so I started to think about, I've never done something based on a true crime story, and how I would approach that, and still in my style, or something that felt connected to me, and but really just reading her transcripts and all the quotes for the real kids just fascinated me, and I thought it had a lot of humor and excitement, and also I thought really said a lot about contemporary culture.
Girls, time for your Adderall.
It's my homie Mark.
Hey. Hi, I'm Nikki. This is Sam. Hi.
Oh my God, that's Paris Hilton. That's Kirsten Dunst. I just think we wanted to be a part of, like, the lifestyle that everybody kind of wants.
Hey, I can be the answer. I'm ready to dance when the band plays.
Paris Hilton's hosting a party in Vegas tonight.
Where does she live? Do you think we could find a way in?
I don't know.
Come on, let's go to Paris's. I want to rob.
I was in the 212 on the Uptown. And you know what's up or don't
Oh my God!
Rude bitch.
That's a cute dress. Did you get a new dress?
We had so many beautiful things.
Oh, we'll break. I bet you do want to.
Ladies?
He looks hot.
I hear helicopters.
We're in LA. Don't be such a little bitch. You're stressing me out.
Oh my God, are they gone?
Police are investigating the connection of the Hollywood Hills burglaries.
America has this sick fascination with a Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing.
It all comes back to, like, bad choices. Who you have as your friend.
You can't take her dog.
But he likes me.
I'm a firm believer in karma, and I think this situation is a huge learning lesson for me to grow and expand as a spiritual human being. I want to lead a country one day, for all I know.
Did you speak to any of the victims?
I've spoken to all the victims.
Really? What did Lindsay say?
You were telling me earlier today that this came about when somebody said you should make a movie of The Beguiled.
How this came about? Yeah, my friend Ann Ross, who is a production designer who did this film, and we've known each other for years. I never knew about The Beguiled, and she said, I saw this Don Siegel movie, you need to see it, I think you need to make a new version of it. And I thought I would never make a remake of someone else's movie, but I watched it, and it stayed in my mind, and I kept thinking about how weird it was, and how I could see how I would do it, which would be very different than that. So I found the book that was out of print, and it was written all from the female character's point of view. And of course, I thought it would be interesting to see the story from their point of view, and in this house of these women all together, and this stranger comes in and how it affects them. So really just to focus on telling the story through them. The South is very exotic to me, and the whole kind of Southern Gothic genre, and how to do something that was much more plot-driven and so much more dialogue, and in a genre that was something I never did, but how to do that in my own style.
We ask for your protection over our school, and we pray that we will be kept from harm throughout the night.
Amen.
Miss Martha! Miss Martha! Is he dead?
No, get him inside. Quick! most unwelcome visitor, and we do not propose to entertain you.
You'll find them easily amused.
You won't be here long enough for that.
How did you end up in this place?
Why are you so interested in me?
I admire your strength.
I'm just trying to give them what they need to survive in these times.
If you could have anything in the world, what would it be?
To be taken far away from here.
Come with me.
He seems to be a sensitive person.
Does he?
Nina?
It seems the enemy is not what we believe.
I hope you like apple pie.
Is that my recipe?
It is.
I need rags. I need chloroform. Go to the smokehouse. Get the saw. Now. Bring me the anatomy book.
Can I get you anything?
Give me the key.
You know I'd get in trouble for that.
Oh, what have you done to me? You vengeful bitches!
So what advice would you give to an aspiring filmmaker? Is there something you would tell them?
Oh, I mean, I think it's just so cool now with video cameras that anyone can make a movie. I would say just go out and make a short film or make your movie, that you don't have to, you know, wait to put together a budget or all these elements, that now with little video cameras you can just go out and try things. So I think that's exciting.